The big storm we've been talking about for days has begun, with blizzard conditions soon in parts of Kansas. And even yesterday, snow around Tucson. In fact, it snowed in Tucson. It's stuck in some of the communities around Tucson, like Corona de Tucson, of course. I don't know if it's stuck in Oro Valley. Certainly, Oracle at 4,000 feet got some snow. And then up in the Phoenix area, Scottsdale had, it looked like maybe an inch of slushy snow, if an inch, but it sure looked pretty. So this cold storm has now moved into Kansas, or it's really centered in the panhandle of Texas, but it's starting to get cranked up. And we have all the details for you. Of course, that's why we're here. That's why I'm recording early in the morning, because if you don't know, I drive a van for a school district here in western Iowa, and I take kids to Omaha. And in the afternoon, I pick them up in Omaha and bring them back to western Iowa. Well, it's a snow day. So schools are closed all across the area in anticipation of some big snows. Omaha has already seen sleet and snow this morning. A little bit of a break right now, but a lot more snow is coming. And our forecast here in Harlan is for 1 to 3 inches of snow today, and then another 2 to 5. Do I have that right? 3 to 5 tonight. And then strong winds and blowing snow tonight and tomorrow morning, with lingering snow tomorrow morning. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And of course, I'm going to get lots of pictures and video for you. Not just for you, for me. Right. Let's get into the details. First, I saw this meme on social media, and it made me laugh. You know, I've been a weatherman for a long time, and so I've kind of heard all the jokes, and you do not want to take yourself seriously. In fact, if I do t-shirts for this channel eventually, I think it's going to be Mike Said It Might, I think is what I'm going to go with. But here's someone's joke across Minnesota. I think this is just a long-lasting meme. 1 to 78 inches of snow, possibly expected, maybe. Here's what the National Weather Service is actually expecting today. Oh my goodness, all across the Pacific Northwest, our next storm, yes, there's another storm behind this one. Our next storm is moving into the Pacific Northwest with blizzard warnings for the Cascades of Washington and Oregon. Winter storm warnings for southern Oregon. Winter weather advisories for eastern Oregon. Winter storm warnings for the mountains of Idaho into northwest Montana. We're looking at some big winds for other parts of Montana. And then other parts of Iowa into Wyoming and down around Salt Lake City. We have more warnings there. I'm trying to figure out what color that is. Is that a winter weather advisory? Or it could be winter storm watch. That's what it is, winter storm watch. California freeze warnings for some of the valleys. Isn't that crazy? Also in southern Arizona, where indeed they did freeze in Tucson the other day. New Mexico looking at wind and winter storm warnings. And then we get the blizzard warnings from northeastern New Mexico, panhandles of Texas, Oklahoma, southeastern Colorado, into western Kansas, and expanding now into Nebraska. Look at all that high wind, or the wind advisories all across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, all across the south. There's going to be a lot of wind with this one storm causing all of these watches and warnings across the center of the country and across the east. Winter storm warnings for where I live in western Iowa, and really the rest of Iowa now. Most of Nebraska, southeastern parts of South Dakota, parts of southwestern Minnesota, into Wisconsin. Winter storm watches in effect around that, further to the east, into northern Indiana, parts of Ohio, and even in Michigan. What is that in Michigan? That's a winter storm watch, because they're watching for a winter storm. Meanwhile, that rain I told you about moving up the east coast with this storm, we now have flood watches in effect for a large area there, where we'll have heavy rain on top of what was heavy snow for some. So it's crazy out there. So how crazy is it? Well, I'm doing the GDPS, which is the Canadian model today, because this one initialized the best. When I was looking at 6 a.m., in fact, let's go back one frame and look at 6 a.m. this morning. This was a good reflection of what was actually happening on the ground. And so when a model initializes well, maybe you have a little more trust moving out in time. We'll see. But Sioux City, South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, thank you. 7 inches of snow already as of 8 o'clock this morning. And they've seen snow already in Columbus, Nebraska. And again, this was at 6 a.m. We move forward to that was 3 a.m. Move forward to 6 a.m. this morning. And we're starting to see that snow that did occur in Omaha, sleet and then snow. And we're starting to see some more snow spread into other parts of northeastern Nebraska. And our blizzard getting started now in northeastern New Mexico, all the way up into southeastern Colorado and into Kansas. And then as we move through the day, this is noon today, heavy snow now, northern Kansas into Nebraska, just about to start where I live. So we're looking about snow to start around noon. And then a little bit of rain further south, Oklahoma, down into Texas. Here's our next storm for the Pacific Northwest, with all of the blizzard warnings for the Cascades, snow in the Olympic Mountains, and rain along the coast. All right. So our blizzard going now in western Kansas, still snowing Nebraska, Iowa, into Minnesota, and now moving into Missouri. This is 6 o'clock tonight. And then at midnight, still snowing Iowa and Nebraska. You see these isobars really tight. So lots of wind with the snow in Kansas, and our blizzard going on here. Heavy snow moving into Illinois and now moving into Indiana. Lighter snow also in Minnesota. Meanwhile, our storm in the northwest moving into Idaho and parts of northwestern Montana, where my dad lives. 6 a.m., snowing in Montana, Idaho, back into Washington. Heavy rain for the coast. Heavy snow for the Cascades. Heavy snow for Indiana. Snow and some wind for Illinois. Lots of wind for Iowa. This is tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. So we'll see if I have school tomorrow morning, because there's going to be blowing snow. Even though the snow is ending or light in the area, it's going to be blowing around what fell, and there should still be some falling. Although these storms tend to exit a little early. We'll see. Looks like our blizzard is still going in Kansas. We've got lots of wind and snow in Missouri. Now watching the rain. And I forgot to mention the severe weather. We have severe weather chances down here from Louisiana into Mississippi, moving into Florida, and then up the coast in the Carolinas. We'll show you that here in just a little bit. But this heavy rain, again, moving up the East Coast. So starting out as snow in Pennsylvania, but that's going to turn over to rain. Meanwhile, strong winds, blowing snow on the backside and moving into Michigan as well. Our rain moving up the coast, flood watches turning into warnings here, no doubt. Look at that. Just deepening, strong winds, lots of snow in Illinois and into Michigan. We're now looking at 6 p.m. tomorrow. We've got our next system moving in the Pacific Northwest. Heavy snow for the Cascades and wind with our blizzards here, and strong winds and rain along the coast. I used to love those storms. That's the freshest air I've ever inhaled, is in western Oregon when a strong storm moves on shore. Anyway, I digress. Meanwhile, our storm really cranking. Heavy snows now for New Hampshire and Vermont and western New York. Heavy rain further to the south in Connecticut, Long Island, into New Jersey, moving into Rhode Island. And, again, we had quite a bit of snow in some of these areas and now getting quite a bit of rain on top of that. Strong winds and snow in Indiana, Illinois. And 6 a.m. on Wednesday, we're now getting snow on the backside in Ohio and lots of wind and kind of moderate snow in some places here. Meanwhile, another storm for the Pacific Northwest. Look at the mountains of Oregon just getting hammered, which they'll take that snowpack, trust me. And that moves into California. Sierra Nevada getting some nice snows. The Siskiyous as well, moving into the Intermountain West. Our snow exiting into Maine. And we've got some rain now in Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine. And so these flooding concerns are the real deal. So pay attention to that if you live in this area. Meanwhile, snowing on the backside, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, and our little clipper system now moving into Nebraska and Ohio. And behind this, Iowa. And behind this, we're going to have brutally cold temperatures, which I'll show you those here in just a little bit. But this little clipper system bringing more snow for eastern Nebraska, western Iowa. And this would be Wednesday night at 6 p.m. and then out of here by midnight by definition of clipper systems. But moving into Michigan and northern Indiana, those clippers tend to move quickly, but the cold air dives south underneath that thing. All right. So I want to take you on a tour on some of the National Weather Service sites around the area of the storm and see what they're saying, starting with Sioux Falls. So on their Twitter feed this morning, they said they had 7.5 inches by 8 o'clock this morning. Well, here's what they're looking for the rest of the day. So Sioux Falls, another 4 to 8 inches possible on top of the 7 they already have. So that would be 1 foot to 1.5 feet. Brookings 2 to 5. Mitchell's 2 to 4. And then you get further to the south. You start looking into southwestern Minnesota. You're talking 0.5 foot to close to 1 foot. 7 to 11 in Sioux City, Iowa, and Norfolk in Nebraska, 7 to 11. Speaking of Nebraska, Hastings is highlighting 2 things here. First of all, the red is the blizzard warning, which with winds gusting 45 to 50 miles an hour, significant snow, 6 to 10 inches, most likely highlighted in the outlined by the yellow. This morning, strong winds. This afternoon into tonight, turning northerly and sustained winds 25 to 35, gusting to 50. So it's just crazy. This is central Nebraska moving into eastern Nebraska. What does Kansas City have to say about this storm? Well, snow along and north of Highway 36. Rain mixing with snow, becoming snow south of 36. Kansas City looking for 3 to 6. You get up into Marysville, 8 to 12. Falls City, Nebraska, 7 to 11. And then they have the area of uncertainty. If they get a little more rain, it'll be less snow is what they're saying there. But this is for today into tomorrow. What about Des Moines? Well, this is the state of Iowa. I live not too far from Atlantic, 7 to 10. I live in that county, Shelby County, which is to the northwest of where Atlantic is. And it looks like I'm in the 7 to 10 range along with Council Bluffs. Then you get to Des Moines, 7 to 11. Further to the east, 9 to 14, 9 to 15, 8 to 12. And this is today through tomorrow. Really expected to hit starting tonight. The Monday night commute may be affected. All right, Quad Cities, eastern Iowa and into western Illinois. So Quad Cities itself, 7 to 11. Iowa City, 8 to 13. That's just crazy. Dubuque, 8 to 12. What about Chicago? Chicago is looking for round 1 tonight into early Tuesday morning, round 2 Tuesday night for mainly northwestern Illinois, and drifting snow possible in open and rural areas tomorrow night. So, having fun with this snowstorm if you're a snow lover. Meanwhile, it gets a little serious along the Gulf Coast. So this is today into tonight. Let me get myself out of the way here. That would be nice. Hey, Mike, you're in the way. All right. So this was issued today. This is valid today into tomorrow. And the enhanced risk of severe weather along the Gulf Coast from Houston through southern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, western panhandle of Florida, marginal risk out around that, and then general thunderstorms around that. Now let me zoom in here. Oh, there I am. I can come back in. So it's easier to kind of spot where you live. This is the greatest tornado threat in the Brown area. Could see some strong, fast-moving tornadoes in this area, all the way from, again, the western panhandle of Florida, Hattiesburg on south for Mississippi. We're talking Baton Rouge, New Orleans, all the way into Beaumont, Texas, and Houston as well. It's our biggest threat. I was going to say best chance for tornadoes. I guess if you're a tornado chaser, that might be good. But otherwise, if you're in this area, and including the yellow too, College Station, you're in that, and further to the north, Meridian, Mississippi, right on the edge. So if you're in that yellow area or even the green area, just pay attention to your local weather today. Make sure you don't get caught off guard by some severe weather and maybe even a tornado or two blowing through the area. I know your individual odds of getting hit, but you just want to be prepared. What does Ryan Hall y'all say? Don't be scared, be prepared. Love that guy. So yeah, he's right. So this is the threat for today. Here's the threat for tomorrow into Wednesday. And now we're talking northern Florida into Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And again, could see some tornadoes, could be some damaging winds, could be some large hail with some of these storms. So pay attention to your weather. All right. Did I mention the cold air coming in behind the Clipper system that's coming in behind this big storm and another storm behind that, by the way? Here are your temperatures Saturday morning across the country. And did I do Saturday? Oh, this is Sunday morning. Sunday morning, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. And everyone in Nebraska below zero. Where I live, below zero. Now, I pick up the donuts before church. So I'll be picking up the donuts an hour after this. It'll actually be a degree or two colder. So it's going to be below zero. While I'm picking up the donuts, teens below zero, South Dakota, 20 to 30 below zero, North Dakota, and parts of Montana, teens to 20s below zero. That would be east of the Rockies. So brutal cold coming in behind the storm. Now, when you factor in the wind, and the winds are going to be pretty strong. So this is Friday morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning in the Midwest and Northern Plains with the wind chill, picking up the donuts, 20 below zero wind chill or probably greater. We have teens below zero wind chill in Kansas, 20s below zero wind chill in Nebraska, 30s below zero wind chill in South Dakota, 40s and even 50s below zero wind chill in North Dakota, and 30s and 40s below zero in Montana. Now, remember, what the wind chill is, it's just the air temperature when the wind blows across your exposed skin. This is, according to mathematics, what it would feel like. And so my advice would be don't expose your skin Sunday morning. What are you thinking? It's crazy out there. So blizzard ongoing or just getting started now in Kansas. Heavy snow is going to be moving through the plains into the Midwest, into the Great Lakes. Severe weather for the south and then the mid-Atlantic east. Flooding problems for the northeast, all with this storm. And widespread wind across much of the country with another storm moving in behind it. And of course, we'll keep you posted on all that. Snow has not started here yet. What is it now? It's 9:30 in the morning. I just checked the temperature. It's 28 degrees. I've got some icicles on the back. It's really nice. Snow is expected to start here within the next hour or two. And then, of course, I'll be getting video of the snow, whatever we get here, and some pictures to share with you this afternoon, probably. And then, of course, we'll update you again tomorrow, especially if it's a snow day. Thanks again for tuning in to the Weather Mike. Like, subscribe, all the things, and we'll see you soon.